Dystopia. Drumtopia.
Welcome to this video, where we'll look at making a full bit crush drum kit with and through Dystopia, the noise and crush module by Dreadbox. With this module, we can create everything from hi-hats and cymbals to kick, snares, and toms, using the built-in noise and the external input. First, we'll look at the meat of the beat, the hi-hat, snare, and kick using the noise. And we're going to patch that all at the same time. And then we'll look at using the external input to enhance the kick and add some toms and sound effects. First, we'll start with the hi-hats, which we're going to be using the blue noise output, which is a noise filtered through a high-pass filter. So we can hear when the slider's all the way down, we get the full noise output. As we slide it up, we get a high pass. I like it around the middle because we still get a little bit low end for that metallic-y sound and then the high end for that shimmer. For the envelope, we're going to be using the simple ADSR envelope generator, which I discussed in the video just before this. I like this because of the exponential output and the time knob here, which we can play with, that gives us a closed and open hi-hat sound. For the trigger here, I have a Euclidean logic pattern coming from PAMS, which I actually discussed in my very first video. But this hi-hat is a little static. Now we can play with the closed and open sound and get a more cymbal-y sound. We want to play with the CV input to give us a little bit more of a rhythmic feel with some velocity. So I have an envelope, positive envelope coming from PAMS. Positive envelope will be shooting the slider upwards a little bit on the whole notes, and that gives us a little bit of that compressed sidechain sort of sound. And that's hi-hats. And next we will do the snare. For the snare, we'll actually use two outputs. We'll use the pink noise and the crush to give it that bit crushed sound. First, with the pink noise, it is the opposite of the blue noise, where it is noise run through a low-pass filter. I like to put it a little bit down, so we cut off a little bit of that high end to leave some room for that hi-hats in the mix. For the trigger here, I have a sequence coming from Bloom going into channel 1 of Maths, and the Maths Unity output is triggering the envelope, or triggering the VCA for the pink output. And now we're going to add the crush output here for the snare, which I'm actually using the OR output on Maths to open up the VCA on the crush here. We can hear as we go down, the bits go down on the noise, so it bit crushes the noise to basically clicks at the bottom. But it kind of adjusts the pitch. But we wanted to give it that more explosion-y 8-bit sound. So we wanted to kind of do this. So we could easily do that with positive voltage in that CV input. So I have the positive voltage going in here, and it's giving us that more explosion-y sound with the attenuator all the way up. And now when we play with the bits, we kind of adjust the pitch of the snare. And now we have a bit fuller of a snare. And now we'll add the kick, which will actually just be adding part of the kick, and then we'll kind of richen it up afterwards. We'll be using the gate output, which sounds actually very, very similar to the crush. Here's the gate output. And here's the crush. The gate is a little bit more gated sounding, a little more triggery, a little more square wavy, but very similar. So the gate and the crush are actually tied. So we can hear this with a kick. I have an envelope from channel 4 of Maths triggering the VCA for the gate here, and I have it sequenced from Bloom. And you could hear that kick sound, and you could hear it gets more granular, more gritty, more chippy as we go down in the odds, and it gets a little richer, fuller as we go up. And again, I said the kick and snare are kind of tied here. When we play with the snare's pitch, we're kind of playing with the kick's pitch as well. And since they're tied, the crush output is the similar pitch as the gate, so we can kind of enhance that kick a little bit by pulling some of our kick envelope into our snares envelope and mixing those together, which is why I have the OR output controlling this VCA. So we have a little bit more percussive kick now when I'm adding this envelope into that one. And let's hear this in context. Okay, let's get this recorded in, and then we'll unpatch it and use the external in to richen up the kick and add some toms and sound effects. Actually, we don't need to unpatch this yet. I'm going to just patch a raw oscillator into the external input here. We can hear on our snare input here, the low pass filter. It's low pass filtering this oscillator here. So let's just put this oscillator in. It's just a low pitch sine wave. And here it is with the same exact pattern coming in, going through all those inputs. So we can hear it's really adding to our rhythm that we had before. We'll circle back to the kick in a second, but first wanted to cover the tom sounds, which I'll be using after later audio steps output, which is off screen here, going into the octave CV input of the hysteria oscillator, which I have coming into the external input here, which when set to quantize will basically just control the pitch of our sound within steps of that octave. And this could give us a little bit more fun tom-like sound effects. So we'll get these more tom sounds recorded in, and then we'll look at enhancing that kick the rest of the way. Okay, now that we got that recorded in, we could hear what that sounds like alongside our drums. But we still want to enhance that kick. So what I have here is just the kick output and the gate here, but we want to actually pull that over to the crush because it's a little bit cleaner of an output, I think. The channel 4 output, which is the unity output in maths, is opening up the VCA. But then I could pull the channel 4 output and put it into the CV here to give us those hits on our kicks instead of our snares like we had before. We get more and more crushed as we go down. So that's giving us a little more kicky sound, and we could actually, I think, we could open it up more. And I think the pitch needs to go a little bit lower. And there, I think we have a nicer kick sound to overlay with our kick from before. So let's hear how this all sounds within context. And that is how we make a full drum kit with Dreadbox Dystopia. Hope you enjoyed this video. Check out some of my other ones, and be on the lookout for some new ones coming up. Until next time.